Today's learning target is I can find the area of a circle. So the last lesson we talked about finding the circumference of a circle, or the distance around a circle. Today we're going to be looking at how do you find the area of a circle, or the amount of space inside of a circle. So to find the area of a circle, we're going to use this formula right here. A stands for the area of the circle is equal to pi times the radius, and we're going to square that. Remember, the radius is the distance from the middle of the circle outside. And remember, this unit we can use calculators, so when you're using pi, you can either type in 3.14 or you can hit the pi key. And depending on which you do, your answer may be, if you're rounding to the tenths place, your answer may be a tenth off. If it's any more than that, you've done something wrong. And the last thing to remember when we are finding area is at the very end, the units that we're going to use, our label would be, let's say we were doing centimeters, and they would be squared centimeters. So we'd write centimeters squared, because to find the area, the amount of space inside of something, we'd have to measure that in square units. So let's start by finding the area of this circle. Now the first thing I'm going to do, and the first thing I want you to do, is write out the formula. Okay, so area equals pi r squared. Now I'm going to just plug in my numbers. So I'm looking for the area. I know that pi equals 3.14 times, and the radius is right here. It gives me 9. So I'm going to take 9 squared. I know that 9 squared is 81. So now I'm just taking 3.14 times 81. When I calculated that, here's the number I got. I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to take a look at my hundredths place, and it looks like I'm going to leave my tenths number the same. So my area is 254 and 34 hundredths, or rounded to the tenths, and 3 tenths. And now I have to label it. Remember, it's area, so it's going to be square units, meters squared. Let's take a look here at this circle where we are given the diameter, the line that is done or goes all the way through, d diameter done. So we're given the diameter. Let's look at this one. So I start by writing out my formula. Area equals pi r squared. You're going to do the same thing today. Now I just plug in my numbers, but be careful here because I have a diameter and I don't have a radius. But remember, I know that a radius is just half a diameter. So I'm going to take half of 15. So if I needed to, I could calculate it and do 15 divided by 2. But I know that half of 15 is going to be 7.5. I'm going to square that. And I know pi is 3.14. And I'm going to solve this now. So when I did 7.5 squared, or 7.5 squared, I got 56.25. And I'm going to times that by pi, which is 3.14. Now, here's an example of a problem where you might have a different answer than the answer key depending on what whether you use 3.14 or the pi key. So in this calculator here, you can see right there, I used the pi key, and I'm given this answer right here. And the one right below it, I used 3.14. Now, I underlined the tenths place in each of these so you can see. Now if I rounded this to the tenth, I look to the next door neighbor from the tenths, and that would be 176.7, or 7 tenths. And on this one, look at the next door neighbor, it's a 2, so I'm going to leave that the same. It'd be 176.6, and 6 tenths. So when you're doing a quiz or a test, it'll tell you to either use the pi key or to use 3.14. But for your daily work, just like I said, know that if you're 1/10 off, that's why. Sometimes we're going to be asked to find the area of part of a circle, okay, or a sector, that's called. So in this case, we're going to find the area of this shaded part. So it's only half of a circle. So to do that, I'm going to just find the area of my circle, just like this. And then once I find the area of it, I'm going to take half of it, okay? Or the other way I could look at it is I could find the area. Okay, so do this and then divide it by 2. Either way, you'll get the same answer. So find the area of your circle and take half of it, or find the area and divide it by 2. So here I've written down my formula and I plugged in my numbers, and I knew that this diameter would be half of that would be the radius, so that's 8. That's what I plugged in there. Now once I go through and solve the rest of the way, okay, you can see here that I ended up with 12 point, after I did 64 times pi, I got 25.12, and then I took half of that, so I did that just by timesing by 0.5, or I could have divided by 2, same thing, and I got 12 and 56 hundredths square inches.